So Satan's You introduced me to this movie.
Yes. Yeah, and I actually found it just randomly on Netflix. I saw it on suggested in the horror movie category or whatever, and I saw it there for a long time, and I wasn't too liking the cover art, so I was kind of doing that thing where I'm judging the movie based on the cover art on Netflix, and I kind of put it off for a while and put it off, and then one day I was watching horror movies with my brother, and we saw it on there, and I was like, this has been on here so many times when we've gone to watch horror movies, and we just skip over it, and let's just watch it finally.
And it turned out to be interesting. Actually, it turned out to be a new Halloween ritual.
Yeah.
The movie is fantastic.
It's probably legitimately maybe my favorite horror movie, short of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
Favorite horror film, period. Like number 2, Jason 6, and then Satan's Little Help.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, if Jason hadn't come down out of that tree and decapitated 3 people with one swing, I don't know if it would be number 1.
That's a winner. You know, the Japanese call that a 3-body plate, but I guess it's a 3-body shit. Yeah. Made by Dory Hanzo. So I did the same thing because I had seen that cover art plenty of times too, and I was like, yeah, because it looks like it's going to be Fantasia, the little demon part of Fantasia or something. So they're like, it looks strange. I'm not going to watch it. Any horror film that has a cartoon image on the front.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then, you're like, hey, you should watch that film. And I did, and I was like, oh, it doesn't get any better than this.
Douglas Woolley is supposed to go trick-or-treating with his big sister, but wants nothing to do with her loser boyfriend who's tagging along.
That's okay, because Doug finds a new pal to stalk the streets with, a man in a Satan mask who might actually be Satan. How'd you feel about the plot overall?
I think it's good overall. I think it's a little bit different. I don't know how much of it like I want to go to the characters themselves. They're kind of separate from the story, but the story is, I think it's original. So I like the story aspect of it.
Very interesting, I think. Actually, it's simple, but that's fine for this format. Like, actually, the horror genre format does not need to be complicated. Some simple idea that could be interesting or creepy, and this film is not creepy.
Not at all.
It's a horror comedy. Let's put it out there. Yeah. So you gotta know what you're getting into. I think it was kind of fun, or it was more fun probably for you getting into it, not knowing what the hell you were getting into.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is great. And then I kind of like when you told me about it, I was like, it's probably going to be right up my alley, because you know I like the silly stuff. And so then when I watched it, I was like, oh yes. So the idea that some kid is like going to go trick-or-treating, is off with his family, like he's a little kid, like what is he, like 8 or something?
At the very beginning of the movie, the mother says that he's in 3rd grade. Okay. So he would be 8 or 9, somewhere around there.
Yeah, the fact that he's like, I'm going to go trick-or-treating without you because you suck. But then you find some dude in a Satan mask that's actually killing people house to house. And he just follows that guy around. Doesn't every boy wish that could happen to him? You know, when you're a little kid and you're going trick-or-treating, isn't that really what you want? You don't really want candy.
You want to meet Satan.
Exactly. That's, did you see that Jim Carrey, when they did some special on Jim Carrey years ago, and they were like, talking about his childhood, and he said he'd always make faces in the mirror, like, all those faces he made. And his mother would be like, if you keep making those faces, you're going to see the devil. And then he's like, that made me want to do it more. Of course I want to see the devil. Like, that's a cool cat. Bring him along.
And going back to you saying about it being a fun time, basically, it does. Like, you wouldn't think it would be, but it is fun. The Satan character in it, you can tell he's wearing a mask And I mean, this is getting into the characters, but he is the best actor by far in that movie. And I don't know, he deserves some kind of recognition for it because he emotes so well wearing a mask.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like that's the funnest part of the film is the fact that you have a character that's fully masked. He even has hand gloves
he's
on.
got gloves on.
Like, you know, and then the whole time he's just doing this thing. When he finds this kid that's like following him around, he's kind of like, what are you doing? And he's like trying to scamper off and stuff, and the kid's just following him. And eventually he's like, I guess you can come along. I'm gonna kill people still. And and somehow the kid's just like, I don't realize that you're killing people, but you're kind of like my big friend that I can give orders to. And he's just like, okay. and the whole time you're watching it, yes, yeah, I want a big Satan friend. In this type of story, you know, usually when we talk about plot points, we're like, does it logically make sense? You know, like did the characters have logical progression of thought? And I don't even know if it matters in this film.
Yeah, I kind of want to say it doesn't matter because if you look at it from like, does it make sense? Probably not. But then at the same time, you look at things like it builds up very well the clueless family. Like the dad is always at work. He's barely mentioned in the movie at all.
Yeah.
The mother, that opening scene depicts really well that she's not paying attention to the kid at all. Like he's talking about spilling people's guts out and asking if Satan's real and stuff, and she's just talking to her daughter on the phone. And my favorite part of that was like he asks if Satan's real because he's playing this game, and it's the game that he's playing is Satan's Little Helper.
Yeah.
And he's playing this game and he's going around and he's killing people in the game, and he's talking to his mom about Satan and what he's doing and stuff. And he asks if Satan is really real, and she goes into this explanation about that he wouldn't be somebody, like he wouldn't be something that you was recognizable or whatever. I can't remember how she said it, but it was like this theoretical stuff about Satan. And then he gets really sad. and then she says something like she brings it back and I can't remember what she said. Do you remember? No. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah, she says something that to like reassure him. Oh yeah, he's certainly real.
And he's like, oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, and then he gets really happy.
Doesn't the game kind of like mirror the film? Like what he's doing on the game kind of mirrors what happens?
It's the little bit that they show of the game is basically like, I think it's just the character like going around killing people on the street.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But there's a part. Isn't there a part with the shovel or something in the game where he's like digging up something and burying a body?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting piece to throw in there that he's playing like this little handheld game called Satan's Little Helper.
Yeah, and that's why he's obsessed with Satan.
Yeah.
So I mean that's.
He dresses like a little devil.
Yeah.
Like a little demon kid.
Yeah, I mean, at least as far as story, they explain why he is susceptible to these things because nobody in his life is paying attention to him.
Yeah.
Or like what he's doing, or the fact that some of the things that he's saying, he should not be saying and thinking being in the third grade or however old he is. And everybody around him is just oblivious to this fact.
Yeah.
So it gets worse because nobody is in his life to say, maybe you shouldn't be thinking this, maybe you shouldn't be saying that, maybe you shouldn't be doing this stuff. And then Satan comes in as the father figure, which is magical. Yeah, their interaction
it's really heartfelt. There was the one tear.
Yeah.
I mean, I was laughing the whole time, but the one tear was probably from laughter.
Yeah. Their interaction and the fact that he is like the father figure to this kid is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's a very heartfelt family story.
It is.
We learned a lot from this. But the only thing that I felt like did not make sense, or that I felt like, okay, this one thing could have made the movie better than Jason 6, better than Troll 2. This one thing is how the kid. Okay, it's funny at first. The kid doesn't even realize that he's actually killing people.
Yeah.
You know, he's actually doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
He's just like, this is my big friend. We're doing Halloween stuff. When the kid actually finds out that that's going on, his reaction does not seem like it makes sense for the plot. I feel like the kid's already a little disturbed. He's a little, he's got some issues with being ignored, and he wants to have a Satan pal to go do what he wants,
Yeah.
And so whenever he finds that out, it's like I feel like it would have been even, because the movie's already being a bit cheeky with its here's a kid following around and doing the Satan mask killing people. And we're also kind of making light of it, so the audience can laugh at this somewhat could be disturbing thing, but we're not making it disturbing because all this silly stuff's happening. And there's this guy in a kind of cheesy mask with Satan hands, running around fondling his sister and all kinds of weird stuff. So then I feel like if the kid would have embraced his little demon hood, it would have been even better. So the ending of the movie would have just been like, like what I want to see at the end of a film is Neo going up to the phone like, I'm the one. There you go. So if every film ended that way, I'd be like, yes, 15 out of 10 on the LMDB Lee Movie Database. So that was my only problem. I think everything else was perfect. The setup was perfect. Why everything was there was perfect. The cheesy acting was perfect. Everything was good. The plot line, it made logical sense according to it being silly and being cheeky about this.
In that universe, it made sense.
Exactly.
In the real world, I don't think it really made sense. But and I agree with you about that. It probably would have been better to go the other way. But to do that, I mean, the whole end of the movie would have had to been restructured.
Yeah, they might have had an idea for how the movie was going to go originally, and then decided, like, well, we're going to keep it that way or something. Yeah. Or maybe they felt like they would be going too far. I'm always worried that filmmakers think that because
you can never go too far.
You probably can never go too far.
Well, yeah, you can go too far, but it doesn't often happen.
Yeah, within reasonable thinking people, like you can't go too far. Like, I'm not saying that you bring real babies on and slaughter them or any crazy thing like that, but in terms of fictional, this is not real thing going on that you're going to portray to us in a film.
Yeah, do whatever.
Yeah, especially if you're being cheeky with it already. You're already being silly. I didn't watch Satan's Little Helper and think anyone could ever watch that film and be like, all right, now I'm going to go out and kill old ladies and bury them in their gardens or whatever it is. I didn't get that feeling. I felt like I was laughing for most of it. It was I don't know, kind of a parody of itself almost. My feeling is that the general plot is so fantastic. It's so funny that, okay, you started off with a 6. To me, the ending wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be, and there are a few things that are like, okay, I guess. So I would just subtract a half a point. But even if I would subtract more of a point on some other movie, the fact that the general plot of the film, like, it would save it. It would overcompensate for the fact that you missed a couple of things. I would say 5.5.
Okay.
Fair.
I think that's fair.
It's fair. 5.5. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's the new Halloween ritual.
Yeah.
It's that film. Like, that film can't be a 3 or something.
Right.
5.5. How'd you feel about the direction and the production? So, the sets, so I guess this would be the location, that town that they're in, the costumes, attention to detail, that kind of stuff.
Attention to detail. I think that the location, the house in general, I think that everything lended to the whole thing about really emphasizing that this is a kid that you can easily see he is not really being paid attention to, with the dad being away all the time working and stuff. They've got a fairly big, nice house. They live in what looks like a pretty well-to-do area, that you would look at it and you would think, yeah, there's probably kids that are being ignored by their parents living in this area.
That's the archetype of community for that type of thing. Yeah. So the town looked right. It had kind of a rural type of town feel to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a big city type of thing. It was definitely a burb. It could have been outside a city. I'm not really. Do you remember exactly where it was? said. I don't remember. It felt right though. I mean, the houses and the way that community looked. I don't know if it was a direct choice, but we'll have to assume that it was. But it even reminded me of some like old '80s films where you see those rural communities, like the old Halloween movies, or even Nightmare on Elm Street, like Heather Langenkamp's original house. That kind of stuff. So it kind of harkened back to that and had a nostalgic feel to it because of it.
Yeah.
So how do we feel about point-wise direction and production? Out of 2 points.
Well, I mean, we have to assume costume in there as well.
Right.
The Satan costume obviously gets like a 20, but we have to scale it back.
I mean, I'm fine with. They chose a good location. The costume, it's cheesy, but it was perfect. All of it allowed that character to kind of come to life in a cheesy way because of the way he looked in the costume.
Yeah,
good choice. Yeah, I told you I sent an email on Facebook. I was looking all over the place, like for people from the film, and then I was like, well, here's the director. I was like, I'll send him a message. So Jeff Lieberman, I was like, here's a message. I really like Satan's Little Helper. I just discovered that, and it's become, the new Halloween thing for me and my buddies. We're going to do a review on the film. And he actually responded. And this was his public profile, his Facebook, like, public figure page. So I sent it a message, and I liked it. And then he sends me an ad request from his personal Facebook page, which I couldn't find before. So I was like, here's Jeff. Hey, Jeff. And he's like, that's cool, Lee, awesome, yada, yada. Where are you from? And, we just kind of BS'd a little bit. But I was like, that's pretty cool that the director's, actually responding like, yeah, Satan's Little Helper, go ahead with it. So anyway, I'm willing to give direction and production a 2 out of 2, but what do you feel?
Given that and how much I love the costume and everything, I think that's more than fair to give it a 2.
2 out of 2. I agree. 2 out of 2 for direction and production. And even if I had like some kind of, I'm not so sure about this or that, the fact that I got a message from the director was like, oh yeah, that's an extra half a point for you, buddy.
But that definitely gets bonus points.
Yeah, there's plenty of movies you'll send messages. You won't get a response from an agent or anyone. That's like, you. Everybody likes that movie.
You don't need to tell me that I'm great.
Yeah. They're there all the time. So, okay, thespian competence. You mentioned this earlier when we were talking about plot points. Thespian competence. You love the demon dude, right?
I don't know about anyone else in the movie. They are at least passable, but maybe best actor in a movie ever.
But
is Satan.
Oh, he was very technical, definitely. He didn't even have a face, a real face, that could make facial motions. But I knew what he was thinking the whole time.
Yeah, he's so expressive, and it was little things like just responding to Dougie. That he would ask a question, and he would either do the head shake, no, or yes. And I don't know. I guess it's just the mask.
Yeah.
Like it was just maybe it's just that it's such an expressive mask. But even like you could even tell. I don't know if we should say this part in here. I'll try to be vague about it so we don't have to spoiler it. There's a part the part where Dougie actually finds out that he's actually killing people. Whenever he's getting upset about it, like he's clearly upset and he's screaming and he's crying and stuff, and you can tell from Satan that he's like, whoa, I'm sorry, I messed up. And it looks like he feels bad about it. And he's wearing a mask, and he's not doing anything other than his other body motions and stuff, and like backing away from the situation.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like having a big Scooby-Doo or something, you know? Like, in a way, it's like, here's a big Scooby-Doo character that's killing people. Because it looked that expressive, the way he was doing it.
Mhm.
It looked like he was almost a mascot for something, like a funny mascot. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? Don't worry about me, I'm just like killing someone here. And then and then the kid's like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything about it. You know, like, just really great.
And you mentioned the mascot thing. I definitely see that in the part where he gets his picture taken by the family that's walking by, and he does one of these.
You know, when he came home and the sister thought he was her boyfriend, just dressed up as a Satan guy. You know, and he's like grabbing her boobs up on the against the wall and whatnot. And so the kid's like, yeah. Like, of course he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't there a part where he like flips people off too? He's kind of like,
yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
What a goofy guy. Okay, as far as the actor, I didn't recognize any actors or actresses. They might be in other things, I'm not sure. But the mother of Dougie is Amanda Plummer, and she's been in Pulp Fiction, Needful Things, So I Married an Axe Murderer. I don't know if you've seen those films?
I've seen some of them. I thought she did look familiar, but I couldn't place her.
Yeah. She's always great in every film I've seen her in. You know, and she's always... I haven't seen... I think she actually has a big catalog of films that she's done. But I've just seen like a handful of them, and those are the ones. And she always plays some kind of frantic, you know, loopy female that's like, I don't know what she's gonna do. Like, she might just eat like a whole pancake for no reason, or she might kill somebody. I don't know. She just has a weird way about her. But she's always... She's almost like an archetype type herself because of how she looks and how she acts. And so when I saw her in the film, I was immediately like, oh well, this is going to be good. Amanda Plummer, you know, she's in there and she's probably going to have a little bit of craze to the film anyway. So acting, I guess, even if all the actors weren't great,
they were at least okay. They were
at least
good enough.
Yeah, she's great. The Satan guy,
Satan's great,
makes up for everyone. But even if they were just complete shite, the Satan guy wins. Like you'd watch the film for him.
Yeah, that's why I watch it.
Technical elements. So sound and cinematography. We don't have to talk too much about it, but what do you think?
Sound wise, I can honestly say I don't really have too much comment on it because. I don't remember any of it. Like I don't really remember too much sound. I couldn't tell you if there was music that was going on at any particular points. I think there was something. There was some kind of sound that played that was kind of like reminiscent of like Jason's thing or like Michael Myers, like their theme music that was going on when the Satan character was doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not quite as memorable as this. Like I can remember that there was something going on, but I couldn't tell you what it sounded like.
Yeah, I think it's not a film you're going to. It's not notable because of the sound. There are some horror films that are notable specifically because of the sound effects or the score, the music or something like that. You're like, oh, that music's awesome. You know, like the first Alien movie, the sound is amazing. You know, very detailed. The music's very ominous. You know, it adds all that texture to the film. This one, it's like that's not why we're watching the film. Is to have a soundscape experience or something.
Yeah. You know, it's all passable.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that you're gonna really remember or focus on at all.
All right. So Satan's Little Helper. Good job. 9 out of 10. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. Hopefully you're watching this because you want to see interesting underground films that do different things and not just, you know, Poltergeist remakes and crap like that.
The same stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully a lot of you will understand what we're getting at when we're giving some of these movies high ratings. Because I think if you look up Satan's Little Helper, the ratings aren't super high.
Yeah, you're not gonna find this movie rated that highly anywhere.
I think at the IMDb is like a 5.7. I don't know, it's somewhere in there. It's like, it's not a great score, but, and then if you look at it, I think at Netflix, and we've talked before about how Netflix has a strange rating system, but I know there are a lot of reviews that were like, this is the greatest film ever, and then there were a lot of reviews that were like, what did I just watch? How was a waste of my time? You know, well, we probably don't want to hang out with you anyway. So, obviously, we're giving this film a rating for a specific thing. It was a lot of fun. It didn't take itself seriously, so you don't come away from it thinking that film took itself way too seriously, and it shouldn't have, because it wasn't serious at all. I felt like it wasn't taking itself seriously. It didn't matter that it was goofy, and along the way, it literally was like, and here's how we're going to be even goofier. So,
like any review, like-minded people, I think, are going to feel that that a 9 out of 10 is warranted for this.
Yeah.
Anybody that generally likes the same kind of stuff that we do, they're probably going to give it a 9 out of 10, or at least understand why it's getting such a high rating.
Right. And not all movies are rated high just because we think, there was some superior craft that went into that piece of work. Sometimes the attitude, and if you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish,
it deserved it.
You got my thumbs. Yeah. Good job. Saves a little help somebody else down.